So for further analysis, we are now being joined by Ana Prestes, political scientist and international analyst. Hello, Ana. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to have you. Can you speak to us about why these particular elections are so important, not only for Bolivia, but for the entire region of Latin America?
Yes. Yeah, you said it right. It's very, very important elections because we are closing a decade in Latin America, a decade in South America, Latin America in general, of coups. Coups, if we remember 2009, the Honduras coup against the President Zelaya in Honduras, and then in Paraguay also 2012, and then in Brazil against the President Dilma 2016, and 2019 in Bolivia. So we say like a decade of advancing against the progressive, socialist, leftist parties. And this election in Bolivia can demonstrate that we can save South America, Latin America democracies. So it's very, very important to observe and to be sure that all the votes are respected, the people are being respected in their right to vote and to have, again, the control by the democracy of the politics in their country.
Now, Bolivia is a country that has struggled politically, and when Evo first became president in 2006, he brought a sort of stability, being the first indigenous leader. What can we expect to see going forward? Can we be hopeful, or should we be hopeful that democracy would return in Bolivia?
Yes, I think we should be hopeful. And well, in this moment, we have hundreds of international observers, yes, there in Bolivia, members of South American Parliament or TeleSUR and Parlatino, and the organizations, many organizations and European organizations and parliaments are there. So we expect that the presence of these observers can help in the guarantee that the elections go well with no problems as we had last year. And to remember that last year what happened was the use of one specific international organization, yes, the OEA, how we say here in Brazil or in Latin America, and to say that the elections were in fraud. We had fraud and things like that. So I think this year things are more organized and more calm, and we expect that these members of the actual Bolivian government, like Arturo Murillo and others ministers that wanted to restrict the possibility of people to protest and to be on the streets, like we saw in the general strike some years, some months ago, that now they can manifest by the vote they want, what they want for the country.
Ana, but also you mentioned the presence of international observers in Bolivia, but we saw yesterday Federico Fagioli from Argentina being detained, and we've heard reports about political observers facing some sort of persecution by the de facto authorities. So what does that say for free and fair elections?
Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about. Some members of this de facto government, like I said, the Arturo Murillo minister of government, they tried to intimidate and to keep some observers out of Bolivia. But I think the sensation we have observing these 2 days since yesterday is that they didn't, it was not possible to do it. It was not possible because they tried to take out Fede Faglione from Argentina, but they didn't succeed because there's a very big pressure from many organizations, many parliaments, many observers in this moment. And I think what we watch is that not just the government, but also the Romero, the authority, the electoral authority, they are feeling that they are being totally observed.
What, the announcement by the Supreme Electoral Court that they would not release preliminary figures. I mean, one has to question why such a decision was taken at the very last minute. Do you think that this will cause restlessness among Bolivians? Can we expect to see protests in spite of the threat of police repression?
Well, this is a very complex thing because it was a decision took last night, yes, yesterday, Saturday, and what we saw today was that some and yesterday also some senators from MAS they said you cannot do it because it's few hours to the election, you cannot change the rules like that for this quick count, yes, the system of quick count of the votes. But the other side, some leaders, including the president, the candidate Luis Arce, said better to not have this system to do it and to wait the total counting. But it can take a lot of days. It can take to Wednesday, Thursday that we start seeing some results. And I agree with you. It may create an environment of protests and some tense situation in the country. It's a very controversial decision they took. First, to change the system. The system was used from last years. And then second, installing another system and not 24, but 12 hours before the elections, they took it out.
And I mean, this de facto administration has not even been in power for very long, but there has been a lot of issues raised, especially as it relates to corruption. Now, you being in Brazil, what sort of similarities have you seen between both countries?
Well, our countries, they have problems with corruption. It's a normal thing in the political system. What you have is you should have judiciary, you should have juridic systems to find the corruption and to take the responsibles to follow the law. But what we can see in this experience of this not even 1 year government of this de facto government of Áñez and Murillo is that they tried in this period to do things quickly. One example is that what they tried to do with the electric enterprise in Cochabamba. And they lost 3 ministers in some days, including the economic ministry, because it was very clear what they were trying to do. And these members of this government, they are implicated in many corruption suspects. Yeah, not proven things yet, but it's something that it caught our attention because it demonstrates why they wanted to get in power without democratic elections.
And as you've mentioned that, with Evo Morales calling for a peaceful return to government, a peaceful return to power, and Luis Arce also mentioning that he intends to return and he expects that he would, especially because opinion polls would have put him ahead of all other candidates in these elections. I mean, what do we think is going to happen when it comes to Arce, if he does win these elections based on what these opinion polls predict, and the military being so involved and so at the mercy of this current administration? Can we expect a peaceful transition of power?
This is the big question. This is the 1 million question of today, yeah? Because all the polls and everything shows that it's very, very possible that Arce will win. If not in the first turn, in the second. And the big question is how these people that today are occupying the power, the government, how they will manage with transition. How will they manage with the security forces, with the military? Because the last weeks, last days, we had bad signs of how the facto president she was dealing with the military forces, yes? Giving them messages that they need to vote against mass, they need to take care of the votes, that she would give the government the transition for anyone who win, but not mass. So we have bad signs, and also this relationship with the United States government. Yes, 1 week ago, Arturo Murillo was in the White House in U.S., and we know that they have very close relationship, including in the level of the military forces, and it was proven last year when we had the coup.
Thank you so much, Anna, for giving us your expertise on this very critical issue for Latin America, a very complex issue to say the least. Thank you so much for joining us.